film grain, paper textures, audio crackle. These are not signs of decay, but curated aesthetics. We do not mourn analog loss. We celebrate it through filters and presets that digitize nostalgia into a commodity. What once felt like authenticity is now a product sold to make us believe the past was real enough to repeat. Roland Barthes once described that has been as a trace of time past. Today, we digitize that trace and market it back to us in the form of presets and fonts, turning history into something you can download with a click. The past no longer exists as experience, but as a package designed for convenience and emotional connection. Authenticity is no longer experienced. It's engineered, a simulation we accept as real to give the future legitimacy. We want our technology, our brands, even ourselves, to feel like they've been around long enough to be trusted. But it's all carefully curated pastiche, selling inevitability.
The earliest computers were not machines, but methods, mechanical ingenuity applied to complex problem solving, laying the conceptual.
By mid-century, nostalgia was already being sold in small bottles of root beer and reprints of old magazines. But as automation began reshaping labor and daily life, the past became something more than a commodity. It became a marketing tool. The future no longer had to be explained from first principles. It could be wrapped in familiar patterns, warm lighting, and the soft rustle of parchment pages on a screen. We stopped preserving history and started repackaging it for emotional resonance. In this era of rapid technological change, we began to rely on machines, not just for calculation, but for connection. Computers were no longer cold and clinical. They became companions with voices, personalities, evens. The idea that your PDA could crash like a death is not far from the truth today, when our phones hold our thoughts, calendars, and memories. Sentimentality now runs through algorithms, and every chatbot's voice has the faint echo of a bygone era. Postman argued that when technology controls the form of communication, it also controls what we consider truth. The past no longer exists as a memory. It's curated by systems for our emotional consumption. What we now call authenticity is often just a carefully calibrated illusion, a warm font, an old photograph in high resolution, or a voice generated from statistical models trained on 20th century recordings. We trust the future not because it's sound, but because it smells like the past.
very interesting just happened a couple of days ago. Sam Altman, the man who was pretty much the face of generative AI until everyone else played catch up, the man who predicted job apocalypses due to AI, the man who even went on to defend AI, saying that humans also use energy, has made one big admission, that AI costs have become a huge issue for
grain for the shops of the city, where those who do not till the soil may buy the farmer's produce.
Instagram filters don't just color your skin. They sculpt an illusion of history. Film grain is sold as soul. But who gets to decide what authenticity looks like? The same corporations that algorithmically curate our attention are also defining the aesthetics we believe represent truth. When a digital photo is filtered with analog texture, it's not nostalgia being revived. It's trust being manufactured. It's not about remembering the past. It's about framing the future as something natural, inevitable. Just Sam Altman admitted that AI development is running into a crisis of cost. People were willing to spend freely before, but now they're questioning its sustainability. Here's the twist. When you make something look human enough to earn trust, it also becomes vulnerable to scrutiny. AI. Chatbots are now programmed with deliberate misspellings and stuttered grammar, not for efficiency, but to mimic human error. The illusion is no longer just visual, it's linguistic. Authenticity is not a quality we find. The arms race between detection, and deception is not just about code. It's a psychological battleground. Every time a new AI model is trained to mimic human behavior, the next generation of detectors is built to catch those tells. But this isn't just about technology anymore. It's about how we perceive ourselves in relation to machines. When authenticity becomes detectable, it also becomes mimicked until no one can tell whether they're looking at a person or a product.
No job is too big for American industry. Nothing is too small for the best in materials and workmanship.
History is no longer a foundation, it's a feature. If you look at how we market products, institutions, even identities, what's being sold is not the future, but its backstory. A well-crafted past makes the future feel inevitable. We don't need truth. We need plausibility that can be replicated and repackaged. Think of heritage brands, nostalgic aesthetics, or corporate origin myths. They all rely on a counterfeit authenticity to generate trust in what's next. Jane Baudrillard described this as a world of simulacra, copies without originals. Take the East German factories that mimic production but produce nothing. These are not lies in the classical sense. They're hyperreal, so convincing they make real work look equally hollow. When everything is simulation, even our relationship to time collapses. There's no past anymore, just a curated version of it. But now listen to this. As long as we treat the past like a product, trust becomes algorithmic. It's updated, rewritten, and optimized for engagement. The result is not just historical revisionism, but a complete erosion of what anchors meaning. We no longer live in an uncertain future. We live in beta versions of a past that's always under construction.